So you want to learn how to code? Well, regardless of whatever situation you're in, I'm hoping that this will be the only video you need to watch to get started, because I've compiled together what I believe to be the best advice when it comes to effectively learning how to code. Now I'm going to be doing this video in a roadmap style, meaning there will be different paths depending on what you're interested in. But before diving into all this, let's address a very common question. Why learn to code when AI can already do it for you? Over the past few years, concern about the automation of jobs started to rise. AI has been a thing for just more than a few years, of course, but we really started to see this big shift starting around 2022 when ChatGPT was released, and even your average person knew about it. This statement in itself is an inherent contradiction. When someone says AI can code for me, what they usually mean is they can describe what they want and the AI will output code. But to even describe what you want clearly, to debug when it breaks, to modify it, to make sure it's still efficient, you need a foundational understanding of code, or at least to create something that isn't complete garbage. People who also make such claims of AI replacing developers completely disregard the fact that in times of new creations like this, it actually boosts your productivity and your performance. We don't stop learning math because we have calculators. Although most of us can do basic math equations in our head and understand the fundamentals, the calculator is still there as a stepping stone for us to use and tackle deeper equations. A mathematician still has to actually observe, conclude, and create new theorems and from a human conscious perspective. Imagine two circles. One circle is everything humans know how to do, set A, and the other circle is everything AI can do, set B. The only reason those circles overlap, that little purple middle, is because AI was trained on human knowledge. It can't go outside that overlap on its own. It can only remix what we've already done. If you don't learn to code, you're stuck outside the set of creators depending on recycled ideas. But if you do learn how to code, you're part of the group that creates original work for the future while AI sits there recycling your leftovers. But like the title says, you're here to code, so let's talk about the best way to start. This is advice mainly tailored towards new comp sci students, but others can definitely still apply just about everything I mentioned. Coding without a purpose is dreadful, which is why I heavily emphasize finding what interests you. This will cause you to go down a path completely different from others. Are you into game development? Learn the fundamentals of C++ or C# so you can apply that to your passion. Do you like machine learning or data science? Start learning Python. In the beginning, it's going to feel like a chore because you're learning basic input-output, but the goal is to become competent so you can start messing around with projects that you'll actually enjoy. Otherwise, you'll just burn out from classes that don't feel like it has much to do with what you like. And that's not to say the material you learn isn't relevant, it just might not be down your alley for the near future, or it actually does have correlation with what you like to do, and it's just being used for different purposes, which is very common. There are so many free resources to learn to code, don't you dare pay a dime for anything. Free Code Camp, W3 Schools, the Odin Project, CS50 by Harvard. Yes, their whole course is published for free online. You want to use some of these sites and mix it up a bit with Stack Overflow and documentation. This is going to build good habits for the future when you start working on something you aren't used to, and you can refer to documentation like you usually do. There might be a bit of controversy with what I'm going to say, but try your best to stay sharp with LeetCode, especially if you aren't coming from a tech background or studying computer science. And you have even more of a reason to practice it if FANG companies are on your list. Although not every company has the same technical LeetCode interview, you're going to see that the more you practice it, the quicker you'll logically solve problems with more difficult code and puzzles. You'll become a programmer that can solve efficiently with the best space and time complexity. It's brain training in a way. If you're not really liking LeetCode, just make sure that you stay sharp with data structures and algorithms, as they're the building blocks of solving every problem. Now let's talk about how to actually remember what you learn. I hear so many students, as well as people just taking the time to learn something, talking about how they have such a hard time remembering all the info they learn. Let me introduce Anki. This will turn you into an academic weapon when it comes to memorization. I know many people say memorization is not learning, but to conceptualize new ideas or information easier, you may have to recall back to your previous knowledge on things. By the way, Anki is not any type of sponsor or promo at all. It's just what works for me. And you'll also see, by the way, that others who are just absolutely cracked at exams or testings usually use this tool. So what is Anki? Essentially, it's a free flashcard app that helps you remember stuff over the long term. But it's not like regular flashcards where you just keep flipping through the same deck. Anki actually tracks how well you remember each card and then decides to show when you should look at it again. The better you remember it, the less often you see it. The harder it is, the more it brings it back until you've got it down. This results in you practicing the really difficult questions you can't solve, and Anki tries to hide those easy questions and throws them back at you later when you least expect it. Essentially, you're seeing if you still remember that easy question days, weeks, or months after. Eventually, those hard questions become the easy ones, and so on and so forth. You can load up Anki with anything, programming concepts, syntax, definitions, but I recommend importing the top 150 LeetCode questions and doing just one a day. That's it, one problem every day, and by the time you finish the deck, you'll be sharp without even realizing it. You won't need to cram before interviews or tests because you've been training consistently. You're basically turning your study grind into a light daily habit, and this system is called spaced repetition. A lot of people say they learned something, but ask them a year later and it's just completely gone. That's why most adults probably couldn't even pass a 5th grade class today, not because they're dumb, but because the way school works is when you learn something, pass the test, you'll just never see it again, so your brain just forgets it. That's the problem. However, with this, you're constantly reviewing what you've learned right before you're about to forget it, and that's what keeps it locked in. Spaced repetition just means reviewing information at the moment you're about to forget it. Instead of cramming everything in one sitting and then forgetting it a few days later, you'll spread it out over time. You see something today, then in a few days, then maybe in a week, and so on. Just enough to keep it fresh in your memory. It's like your brain gets little reminders exactly when it needs them. The psychology behind spaced repetition is very interesting, and I recommend you read into it. Do all of this and I guarantee you will see improvement in your ability to code. The idea isn't just to practice a certain set of problems or work only on specific things. You need to find what area of coding you like, build a path for learning, and turn it into a daily habit. Once the basics become secondhand nature, you'll find yourself working on personal stuff completely independent or by yourself. This essentially becomes your new way of quote-unquote training. You practice the basics, you are now competent in programming, so the general involvement of you being in the coding space and trying out new things on your own is in itself a way of learning, and it will always help you grow. Aside from that, I don't think there's much left to cover when it comes to learning the basics. Stop focusing on where to start and just pick up something. In most scenarios, simply trying is better than nothing. I really hope you all enjoyed this video, and if there's a specific thing you want me to go more in depth on, let me know and I'd be happy to consider it. Thanks for watching.